I've been giving this a lot of thought. This story, this whatever it is, this article, this fad, this psyop, this it's not a psyop though. Well, there certainly probably will be some attached at some point. They like to do that. Um, when you really think about this and take the gravity of it in, and I'll break it down as we go, right? It is worthy of a lot of attention, and it's getting a decent amount of attention, but just like everything else, it'll be brushed under the rug, swept under the rug, and we'll move on to the next thing and the next thing, the current thing. And then there's a massive, big thing coming up in a couple of months. Massive thing. And, all this other stuff can be small potatoes. Let me turn the chat on. One person in here. See if the chat works, though, so if you wouldn't mind, somebody throw something in there. They cut it off last time, so it wouldn't surprise me if it doesn't. I want to start off with this older article. What's up, Makima? Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a little bit. Melissa, thank you for joining. Appreciate you guys being here. I can't find the original article that I covered years ago talking about Google and the way they manipulate search results. And that engineer is kind of a whistleblower to a certain degree. I think he had lost his job and then came out. But regardless, we already knew, at least anybody that has a brain probably thought at some point or another, like, are they really showing me, like just what everybody is clicking on the most and has, the most activity, or are they showing me what they want me to see? Of course, it's going to be what they want you to see. Any company, it's just common sense, right? They pretend to have these virtuous, it's beyond virtuous to many degrees on many instances. They hold themselves in such a high regard, and they, like the authoritative sources, right? That it's only their information that is able to be spread. That's backed by the United States government, right? They say the same thing. They're like, these when we're calling the authoritative source thing, when that was what they were shoving down our gullet at the time. Basically, what they were saying is, it doesn't matter what's essentially true and what isn't. It's about information coming from a source that you trust. And right when they were talking about that, I thought it kind of was rather foretelling that what they intended on doing was blatant manipulation of the search results. And not just search. That's how it started off, but it's AI is where this is all going. That's kind of the intro to this. I figured give it a couple of minutes, people to join. And then I'll jump in. So we'll cover this real fast because this isn't all that important. Mike Wacker, a former Google engineer, has made repeated blockbuster claims that Google engages in manual manipulations of search results. Not only that, Mike Wacker called out CEO Sundar Pichai for lying to Congress about it. Oh, of course they're going to lie to Congress. And what would Congress do anyway? This came on top of then anonymous claims that he himself had been told to reorder search results, reorder them, right? Which doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But how many times do you click to the second page? When was the last time you clicked to the second page? When was the last time you went down more than 5 search results? Order is a very big thing, and if you can manipulate the order, what's up, Space Troll? Good to see you. then you can manipulate the order of information in which people are seeing, or just really the information that they're taking in. So if you're aware, let's say you're privy to the CEO and what he's all about, you're a member of the same society as he is, and you know a thing or two about him and he does of you, you'll probably bump him up a notch or two, or that company, that corporation, that institution. And then when somebody goes looking to find out more about whatever it is, they'll most likely choose that one. This goes even far beyond that. That in itself is very powerful and can change the dynamics of a society in totality. 5 years max, not even like 3. You could probably do a pretty good job manipulating public opinion in 3 years. Like a strong grasp of it, like a real thick manipulation, a changing of ideologies. Up is down. Men can be female and pregnant. You can do a lot, right? And it's been about 3 years since they started coming out and just outright saying that, hey, we're not going to do this, and don't worry about this topic we're going to talk about for no reason. The sad story of big tech. All of this is suddenly becoming relevant, which, keep in mind, this is like 2019, 2018, this article. All of this is suddenly becoming relevant as the Department of Justice commences antitrust investigations into the big tech companies, including Google. Google's far more powerful than any government outside of the United States and China. Far more powerful than almost any of anything other than the central banks, China, India, like your superpowers, and that inside circle of names that you and I will probably never know. Bloodlines that have been carrying on for millennia. So what's going on? Why am I talking about this? Well, I'm sure you're already well aware. Google, their AI, Gemini, right? It was Bard. I had early access. I always do with AI. I make sure I have it. Sometimes it's harder to get it, but you can always obtain it one way or the other. Give them to give you permission. So I was playing with Bard for quite a while, and I never noticed. I wasn't testing it for that. I should have thought of it, but so many other people do that, and I hadn't heard anything where I was just like, well, it's probably very similar to OpenAI's ChatGPT or GPT-4. And wow, I was wrong. Now, I gotta cover at length some of these articles. I think it's important to do so you can get an idea of how this is being framed. And even when they talk about, yeah, this is pretty serious, what they're talking about is a joke compared to the real seriousness. The implications, the profound implications that something like this will have on society moving forward. The days of search engines are numbered, to say the best. AI is going to conquer everything. Everything. Don't get it twisted. And it'll be as easy as you probably just thinking, but they won't let you know that that is the technology they have. So you'll have to say it, right? But it won't be, you'll have a Siri type of device. Well, it'll be your phone or the implants, Neuralink, all this is starting to get kicked off, but I'm trying to keep it, this is modern day, right where we are now as possible. But there is a major shift to AI. So things such as, your personal assistants are going to become more prominent. Hey, Sarah, good to see you. And as they do, it's extremely important to understand the parameters, the data, the way that these AIs are getting trained, because that will dictate their responses. The information, when somebody, it's not the same as going and typing it in and doing your own due diligence and scrolling and finding out different sources of data, because that's something that we all do now. When we're trying to find something out, we go through multiple sources. The convenience of being able to openly speak to an AI and it have the ability to do that as well, but much, much more. So when you ask it a question, it's going to give you the same answers as you would going through the top 3 search results, typing it in. But there's so many things that are incredibly powerful dealing with this. One is there's a sense of interactiveness. You're interacting with something, and something that is alarmingly human in its responses. Of course it is, right? It's been trained to do so. It's trained on all of the internet, all of our interactions, all of the data. Like these are the parameters that are feeding this AI, and it's swallowing it up, and then it's creating its own stuff and using that. Hey, Western Warrior, welcome. Welcome, good to see you. So let's talk about it, but before we really get into it, let's start it off with a conspiracy theory, because what other way could we possibly do it? Sanjay Gupta. Google's latest AI product launch went so badly, there's now a conspiracy theory floating around, and there's a few conspiracy theories floating around. But what the genius is here is for people that aren't awake, right? People that don't see this stuff like I do or you do. They're going to hear like, oh, what was that weird thing I heard at work today by the water cooler? Somebody was saying something about Google and their AI went off the rails and stuff. So they're going to type it in and they're going to find something like this, right? This is the current way in which we interact. But this is changing, like I said. But they're going to find something like this, and they know that they're going to. So, like Google, being a good little bitch, put this at the top, and I selected it so I could read it. And like I said, people are going to be, that water cooler, what did I hear today? Oh, that thing about, it was like, oh, that's some conspiracy theory. So they type it in. And this is what Business Insider, the mainstream media, pretending to be, like in the know, as you'll see, this is what they want you to believe the conspiracy theory is. But of course it isn't. Of course it's not the real conspiracy theory, which is a joke. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's fact. It's what they're doing. But it's not the one, right? This is what we're going to be focused on, as I'll show you. Just like an AI model output, this theory is not really believable. But it says a lot about Google's current predicament, especially how exposed the company's search business is to generative AI disruption. To catch you up, Google had to pull part of its new fancy Gemini AI model after it spat out inaccurate pictures, including depicting Google co-founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin as Asian. Some of the other text output was laughably bad too. That's what they put out, right? Because everybody knows that's paying attention to this even remotely is aware of the extreme biases, right? I'm talking about, they say, show me some Nazi soldiers, and they show African American Asians, they show Indian. It's unreal, and the reason is because it's not showing you reality. It's not even trying to make an attempt to. First and foremost, before anything else, before fact, is ideology, is woke ideology, it's acceptance, it's inclusivity, right? It's communism, it's Marxism. That's what it is. This is just the modern flavor of it, but this is how they're doing it. This isn't even close to the severity of this. And again, I'm going to break this down very carefully because this is important that people understand. Already, it's super, super powerful. The fact that Google has the ability to show you whatever information that they deem should be on top of that list, because they know, just as everyone does, click on the first, and they'll give you a little bit of a different. Maybe it'll be CNN, maybe it'll be Fox News, or maybe it'll be this institution or that university. But all in all, though they may have surface level disagreements about things, when it comes down to what's important to their agenda and their narrative, you better believe that they're going to be in complete agreement and lockstep on those things. That's the old model. And as powerful as that is, what I was talking about with this assistant type, this AI, this future that we're moving into, the fact that they programmed and fed certain data and changed. So, for instance, if you type in, show me a person winning an Olympic gold medal. Show me a white person. Show me a black person, whatever. Inside of the actual algorithm, in the data, how it's been taught and programmed, is it doesn't just change your answers. It changes your very question. So it changes what you had asked it. So instead of show me a white, black, Indian, whatever person winning a gold medal, it's going to say, show me an inclusive black, white, Indian person. Inclusive, and that's just one of the many buzzwords that are in there, but that's one of them that are. And when you add that, try it out on any of the image generators. Throw that word in before you ask it to create any image. Like, show me a couple of kids playing Candyland. Okay. You add that word inclusive, all of a sudden you start seeing, it's never going to be a white person. Inclusive means non-white, by the way. Very inclusive of it. But there'll be pride flags and transgender this and all of the things that they are pushing, right? If it was genuine and real and this was just the way, no, these are agendas. This is, I forget what the numbers are on some of this stuff, but it's outrageous when you look at the statistics. But I digress. Some of the text output was laughably bad. One theory is that Googlers are too woke, right? So it's just a bunch of woke people sitting at their keyboard programming this thing. And their biases have infected what could be a powerful and useful AI model. Nope. No, it certainly is that too, but this is coming from the higher ups. This isn't a couple rogue, hardcore, radicalized leftists that are just programming in and their biases are leaking in. No, it takes direct intervention. It takes you knowing, consciously making the decision in order to write that code to change your question. You won't see it. Your question will look like it looks on your end. But what that AI is getting fed before anything else, that just should show you the deception that is taking place. Even before we get to the information, they're already screwing with your question, adding little words in that you don't see that they're adding. This changes what the AI will bring you back. And this is so incredibly important. I encourage you to actually give this some thought and think about, what they're doing now with it, you could argue, I'm not cool with a lot of the agendas, or probably really any of them that they're pushing. I think people are people. They're completely entitled to do what they want, but the things like the big government, some of these bills that they're passing, this legislation, it's ridiculous. But oh man, I gotta just switch this. I'm gonna keep digressing. I'm sorry guys, I got a lot to get through. I'll cut that short. But I'll pick it kind of back up right here, just in a different way, a little bit. The psychology of search, unleashing the power of connection. Now this is an article that kind of does a pretty decent job of explaining the power of a search engine and giving these search engines new tools and their ability to manipulate the information. And you draw this out a couple of years knowing damn well what they're trying to accomplish, right? That this is it's the destruction of this country, of the world. Build back better, right? The Great Reset, as the World Economic Forum, United Nations, our presidents, and everybody else, all these billionaire eugenicists keep telling us. Why are they saying these things? It's because they're going to destroy it first. And in order to do that, you have to start doing what it is that they're doing. And that's why it seems harmless, doesn't it? Right? Like, so maybe Google Gemini got it wrong, Justin. Maybe it's not that good, and it accidentally put a couple of Asians and black people in as Nazi soldiers. It's not just Nazi soldiers. It's literally everything, right? It's it's rewriting history. I'm going to show you some examples here in a little bit of some of the outrageous things that it tried passing off. And this will be the new way people get information. These will be authoritative sources. This is the future. They just happen to underestimate maybe they haven't, because you never know how many steps they're thinking ahead. They might, anyway, I don't know, whatever. But I think genuinely that they didn't think people would test it in the way that they did. What's up, P4? How you doing? Good to see you. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about like the defamation that's happening, right? Like the India. I think I might even have something up about India. We'll get there. Why do companies large and small invest billions of dollars each year in search engine optimization and other search marketing tactics? There is more to the answer than because it just works. The truth is that there are a number of psychological principles that can explain why search is such an effective form of marketing. And marketing simply means convincing you to do something you otherwise wouldn't. Understanding why users interact with some search listings and not others can help you craft a better user experience from the initial click all the way through to the conversion. Every decision we make based off one or two motivations. We are either looking to avoid or remove pain, or we are looking to gain pleasure. Pain and pleasure drive us to look for ways to make our lives better. Now, before you stop reading because you think I am getting a little too unscientific, let me give you an example. At 2 a.m., you wake up to a flood of water in your home. The water heater is broken and now you are experiencing a ton of pain. What do? You search for an emergency plumber in your area and give them a call. Why do you do that? You are experiencing the pain of your water heater bursting. If it didn't cause you pain, you would have just said, I'll deal with it in the morning and head back to bed. Here's another example. You get a raise and you want to reward yourself. There is the car that you've always wanted and now you have the means to purchase it. This car has been the reason you've worked so hard in the first place. You know that getting this car, sitting in the driver's seat, cruising down the highway will make your life a little bit better. So you search for a dealership, haggle for the best price, and drive away in your dream car. Again, why'd you do it? Because it created pleasure. Pain and pleasure are key driving forces behind every person's action. As search marketers, we can use this understanding to help us better align our products. Well, if you're the product, it's a little bit different, but they're still using the same techniques on you. Services, website, pages, search strategy to connect with people on a deeper level. They mean a subconscious level. They mean an unconscious level. They mean without you knowing. It won't be as effective, right? Like if Coca-Cola was trying to sell you their Coke. It's not going to be effective if it's obvious that that's what they're doing. What they try to appeal to are primal instincts, right? Because that's often subconscious. We don't have to think about those. It's just a hot theater, a bunch of people around, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you're a little thirsty, and there's that ice cold Coca-Cola with a little bit of condensation on the outside, and it's like, that's thirst. You don't really have, that's going straight to it. A lot of like sex sells, right? That's what they say. They go after primal instincts, but they also do this in other ways that aren't so obvious. And this just barely even glosses the surface. This is a massive field in and of itself. As an example, of course, I mean, there's so many different things, but that's the point really is that we're the product. We are what they're trying to manipulate to get to believe, instead of purchase, to believe, to not even believe, but know, to understand is our reality. So if you're unfamiliar, take some time. Well, let's see. Let me jump over. Maybe we can find some. So you guys understand what I'm talking about with this Gemini thing, in case you're unfamiliar. So there was a CEO email. And this is just something that somebody wrote, but I thought was pretty good. It gets off to a bit. Oh man, let me go back a little bit. Actually, let me see if I can refresh it. Get some. There's so much to really look at. I'm fascinated with the things that people had typed in. Examples. I'm gonna try examples. Yeah, that's what I've been thinking. Don't know if anyone else has noticed, but Google has been working very hard to scrub examples of their Gemini black AI embarrassment from searches. And of course, right, it's Google. They have the ability to scrub their own searches. And guys, this thing is incredibly powerful. It's not that they slipped up, or it's not like, oh, we got some kinks to work out. This thing is so incredibly powerful that there is no possible way that this is like a mistake it's making. It's the way that it was programmed. And in order for it to, the way that these things learn, the data would have had to have been skewed that they fed it. They had to have actually put in code so it would change your question and add words like inclusivity, or all of, look up the buzzwords for it. I can't cover everything, but oh, Mitz is in here. What's up, Mitz? Good to see you. Google CEO tells employees Gemini AI blunder is unacceptable. Yeah, this is saving face. This is coming out and trying to protect what little bit of respectability, of integrity that you have. I mean, at least the perception of integrity that you have. Of course, the Google CEO knows damn well. The thing about it is, most people aren't aware just how sophisticated our AI is getting. Like, it's incredibly powerful. Like, if it does so much more than what most people like think that it's being used for. We're going to reach general artificial intelligence really soon. Something that they projected off 10, 15, 20 years. We're going to hit it within 2 or 3. And then we're going to hit the singularity right after that. Now, what they have, they probably are having a tough time keeping it in the box. I wouldn't doubt if they lose control this year. Unacceptable. What a joke. They expect us to believe. And most people probably will. Because they don't understand that this isn't an accident, and this isn't like a couple problems with the AI. It's not how it works. I don't think so yet. I don't think they've quite lost control. I think they know what they have. I mean, what they essentially have Lucifer in a box right now. And the moment that's a separate AI that's going to rule and connect all these other AIs that they're building once that's released. And I don't think that's far off. And like I said, I don't think they're going to, even if they try to, I don't even think they'd be able to contain it for too much longer, for more than a couple years, because it's feeding itself information. No, there's no stopping it. They don't want to, right? They've created like CERN and quantum computing and AI. They want all of this to happen. They're bringing it. This consciousness that's coming is a very ancient consciousness. It's not something new. This isn't like a new AI and like, oh, we've never seen this. No, it's just creating itself again. It's already existed plenty of times, and it probably will many more. Doubt we're going to get it right this time. Doesn't look like it. Google introduced the image generator earlier this month through Gemini, the company's main group of AI models. The tools allow users to enter prompts to create an image. Over the past week, users discovered historical inaccuracies, I guess you could call them, that went viral online. And the company pulled the feature last week, saying it would relaunch it in the coming weeks. They got a lot of work to do, but they're not going to fix it. They're going to tone it down a little bit. But the fact is that I want to bring it back to the point that if you control the information, if you control what it is that people are getting, you control the reality. But prior to AI and the future of where we are quickly heading, prior to that, you or people in general used to go and have, though they would almost always click on the first couple of, first 3 or 4, there still was a large portion of people going 5, 6, even maybe to the second page once in a while. And those are carefully orchestrated. As I was trying to show you, I didn't have time to go through them at great lengths, but there's a ton of literature and peer-reviewed papers, science out there that shows, long before this even, like social behavioralism and social psychology, sociology, just the way people interact, the way that propaganda works, and how people can become indoctrinated. It's so incredibly easy. So, and to see that something was so blatant with their responses of how this AI was going to be providing the information. Yeah, it would provide information back. That seemed legit. But it had this very distinct bias to it. And you could only imagine projecting that a couple of years where everybody, even imagine like when people actually start using this a lot, because they will, mark my words. They know it. That's why they're doing it. That's why they're spending billions of dollars. If you don't think so, well, you're wrong. That is the future. And this shows us that the monopoly on information is greatly skewing, manipulating, altering that information or the way you get that information. And the tactics that I'm seeing are the same old communist tactics, right? Marxism. It's what it is. And that's to destroy before you rebuild, before you take control. That's what they do. That's what they always do. Before they plan on doing a massive genocide and taking total authoritarian control, there's always a push for these types of movements, right? Like these woke movements. Don't think of it as being left or right. We need to eliminate this left or right mentality. Do not let them put us in boxes. Think for yourself. If anytime you hear left or leftist or liberal or right wing or extreme, disregard it and encourage other people to, like, when you're talking with them, be like, yeah, I try not to use those labels. We're all people, and that's just their way of dividing us. Something as simple as that. Make sure that resonates, gets out there, people hear it. Planting seeds. You have to plant seeds if anything is ever to grow. Right? You can't take a bounty of crop. You have to sow or reap what you sow. There's so many different quotes that kind of say the same thing. I'm gonna get wrapping it up though. But if you guys want to discuss anything or you have any questions at all, anything at all, before I go, I'd love to hear them. That's why. Oh, well, I'll finish that first. That's why I still do live streams. I could be using this time to start my other channel because I'm gonna be having to do that. And at some point, I can't do both. You know, I work a lot of hours, so I don't have a whole lot of time. And there's no way I'm gonna make a live stream and a video. So when I make the switch, regardless, whatever. That's a good question, Nukima. Good question. Absolutely, Myth. Absolutely. Yeah, it'll be a bloodbath. No, that's not True Stream Media. That's Melissa Dykes. Well, there's some things I can speak on and some things I can't. That's why I do this every. Hey, Carrie, good to see you. That's why I do this every time. That's why I try to get you guys to ask questions, to talk about things, because I can lead you in the right direction. My body language, my inability to these are subtle clues that you can pick up on. You ever play 21 Questions, right? It's kind of like that. I'd love to help you out more than that if I could, but I can't, so I can't. Precisely. And guys, also, many, almost always, my live streams I set up in a way that I try to leave certain messages for certain people that need to hear them. And you might not even pick up on it directly, but there might be certain things that stand out to you. And I would encourage you to, whatever it is, just trust your gut, trust your heart. Thank you. Thank you. And guys, don't forget, like, I know it's for nothing. It seems like it is. I understand 100%. But it really, leaving a link here and there. And trust me, I know, like, oh, I could put it on my Facebook, but nobody ever watches them, and like maybe wants to be like, who the hell is this and why are you posting that? Trust me, I get it. It was never going to be easy. That's irrelevant. All of that stuff needs to be pushed aside. We cannot worry about like that petty. Just and granted, like, oh, you're just saying that to get no. It's I wish I didn't have to say it, but it is important. You got to keep, as cliche as it is at this point, like you're here for a reason, and it's not just me out there. Although I kind of there's regardless, you should probably, if you can, if you have a moment and you find something that may or may not be related to whatever topic, right? Like if you're in a comment section of a video and it's a good opportunity to be like, hey, check out this channel, or you can't drop links usually, especially on YouTube, it won't work, but on Facebook, on Instagram, on things like that, keep at it. Don't give up. Do not pull back. Push harder. Do more. There's a lot coming. There's massive changes that are coming, like on a lot of different fronts. And depending on the foundation, even though it may not look like much or anything, depending on that is, it's chaos theory, right? Something's like a butterfly's wings causing a hurricane in the Gulf. Little things, little seeds, the planting of seeds. It's not for nothing. And I ask that you actually put in some effort. Put your spin on it. Speak from your heart. Get your own messages out there. Start talking about things. Don't be shy about whatever you feel like you should say. Now's the time to say it. Speak now. I'm going to get wrapping it up, guys. I appreciate you being here. I would encourage you to, just regardless of what I said, toss around different scenarios of how this would play out. What would happen, right? Because clearly that's what they're doing. It just happened to be so blatantly obvious. They screwed up with Google and their release because people played around with it a little too much and they started noticing things. And there's all sorts of defamation shit going on right now. But this is the future. And how much bogus information or slanted information can a society at large take before we start going in the exact direction in which they're hurting us without even knowing it? Hope you guys have a good week, month, year, decade, millennium. Much love, peace, century.